Food, food, food kills. I'm talking about eating. That habit whereby you get your food, you put it inside your mouth, you chew it, and then you swallow it. It kills. Food kills. And when we say food kills, somebody may think that maybe we are talking about that food which is poisonous, which has been put poison. But that's not what we are talking about. We are talking about the same food that you like, the same food that you enjoy. Because in English we say, your best friend is your worst enemy. The same proverb is applied to the issues of food. The same food that you like the most, it is the food that kills you. Because the more you like it, the more it also likes your life. The same food that you enjoy the most, it is the same food that kills you, because the more you enjoy it, the more it enjoys you also. When you get that food, when you start eating it till you finish it, the more you finish that food, the more it finishes you, and the more it finishes your life bit by bit without you realizing. Right now, as we are talking about this, thousands, if not millions or billions of people are lying in graves, and they were escorted in those graves by the food they loved. They loved those foods to the level whereby nothing would separate them from them. To the level whereby they even died with those food. English does not say they died by those foods, but it says they died with those foods. Meaning even in the graves, they went with those foods. Can you imagine how strong the bond was between the people, those people that died, the deceased, and the food? Food has killed more people than anything else that you can think of. The people that died in the First and Second World War are far much lesser than the people that have been killed by food. There is no weapon of mass destruction that can kill many people like what food does. Food kills. Food kills because almost every disease is there because of food. In fact, not almost, but every disease is there because of food. Do you agree or disagree? Do you agree that food brings every disease on earth? With me, I agree 100%. It is true. Both biblically and historically or scientifically, I don't know how to put it. It is true, it's a well-known fact that all the diseases, every disease is there because of food. For example, let's get in the Bible. In the Bible, we are suffering, we are dying, we're having these diseases simply because somebody, somewhere in the Garden of Eden, ate something that he was not supposed to eat. Somebody, somewhere in the Garden of Eden, ate something that she was not supposed to eat. And as a result, we are dying, we are suffering because of food. That's in the Bible. That's in the Bible. We can come out of the Bible, outside the Bible. The same is there. Every disease that you can think of is there because of eating. It's there because of food. It's there because of chewing, swallowing. Food kills. For example, we can talk of this terrible and dangerous, deadly disease, HIV and AIDS. It's difficult for you to believe that AIDS also is there because of food. The majority of people think that HIV/AIDS is there because of sex. Now, if you think in those lines, then you are 100% wrong, and you must stop thinking like that immediately. HIV/AIDS is not there because of sex. Sex is just an expensive vehicle that this pompous virus, HIV/AIDS, uses to transport itself from one human being to another. Otherwise, it's not a source of this disease. It's not the source of this virus, HIV/AIDS. Sex is innocent where HIV/AIDS is concerned in terms of its origin. Why? It's because it's a well-known fact that they are virgins. Virgins, those people that have never done sex. from the time they were born. Yet they are suffering with this disease, AIDS. They have this virus, HIV. How did it get into their bodies? Nevertheless, HIV AIDS is there not because of sex. HIV AIDS is there because of food, eating, chewing, swallowing something. Somebody somewhere ate something that he was not supposed to eat, and we have this terrible disease. History tells us that it is in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, where this disease originated from some time back. Yeah, and they say this disease was originally in animals, not in human beings. It was originally in animals called chimpanzees. Those animals that look like human beings. And they also behave like human beings, chimpanzees. Now, somebody, a human being now, somebody developed an appetite for these animals. And that's how he slaughtered one of those animals and he ate it, which had this virus, HIV. And that's how HIV virus got into the human blood. That's how HIV virus got into the human body. Through eating, somebody ate a chimpanzee which had the HIV virus. And then since that time, this virus was multiplied and duplicated and shared via sex. Yes, so just as I've already said, sex is just an expensive vehicle that this pompous virus uses to transport itself from one human being to another. It is a duplicator, a typing machine and a duplicator, two different things. Sex is therefore a duplicator. It just multiplies this virus to transport it or to share it amongst people. So HIV/AIDS is not there because of sex. It's not true that somebody did too much sex for this virus to develop. No, this virus is there because somebody ate something. Yes, it's there because of appetite. Yes, it's there because of sweetness, desiring to have a taste of things. Yes, so that is HIV/AIDS. As if it's not enough, but we can also look at this other dangerous disease. We can talk of Ebola. Yeah, Ebola. Ebola is just a river in the Democratic Republic of Congo, in DRC again. I wonder why DRC is such a source of such terrible diseases. HIV from Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, and also Ebola from DRC. So Ebola is a river. It's just a normal river. The way we've got Zambezi River, the way we've got Kafue River, the way we've got Chambeshi River, the way we've got all those other rivers that we have in Zambia or in other part of the world. But in the Democratic Republic of Congo, it's called Ebola River. It's just a river, a normal river. People drink water from that same river. Now, along this river, there also lived animals. And these animals had this terrible virus, which is not named. No one knows the name of this virus. Now, somebody, because of the beauty of these animals, somebody's appetite was again aroused. The beauty of these animals aroused somebody's appetite to the level whereby he again went and slaughtered one of those animals and ate it, using the mouth, chewing, and then swallowing. And that's how Ebola entered into the human being. That's how this virus entered into a human being. Remember that this virus had no name? And that's how people said it is going to be called Ebola disease, because it came from animals that lived along Ebola River. And therefore this disease, this virus is called Ebola, from the name of that river, Ebola. Eating, chewing. As if it's not enough, we can talk about this latest disease, which is actually coming so hot in the world. I'm not saying in Africa, but in the world. I'm not saying in Asia, but in the world. I'm not saying in America, but in the world. That is coronavirus. Yeah? Today, the Minister of Health in Zambia, Chitalo Chofia, announced to say we have to close schools, universities, and colleges on Friday, 3 days to come, because of this terrible disease, coronavirus. Now, a normal question may come, but how did this virus get amongst human beings? Where did it come from? What is the origin of this virus? You'll be very disappointed to hear that it also came as a result of eating, chewing, swallowing. History has it that this disease developed in bats, those creatures that look like birds, yet they're not birds. Those creatures that look like animals, yet they're not animals. Bats. And somebody developed an appetite for such creatures. That's how he ate one of those bats that had this virus, coronavirus. And that's how this virus got into human beings. Eating, chewing, swallowing is deadly. All the diseases are there because of eating. I'm not going to talk about cancer. I'm not going to talk about tuberculosis. I'm not going to talk about cholera. I'm not going to talk about sugar. I don't know if it's diabetes. But the truth is that every disease is there because of eating. Look at now, in our case in Zambia, schools are about to be closed simply because of somebody's appetite. Eating. Thousands, millions, and billions of people at graves simply because of eating. No, if you look at these things that people eat that cause these terrible diseases, you may wonder, but what's wrong with us human beings? Can you imagine of all beautiful animals that God gave us for food, you just go for chimpanzees? Of all the foods that God gave us, just go for bats? Human beings. I don't know. I don't understand human beings. I don't understand. We glorify God because it's wonderful to be a human being. It's great to be a human being because as human beings, we are the only beings who can excel in intelligence and also in wisdom. But at the same time, human beings, we are the most stupid creatures on planet Earth. Because sometimes the things that we do, you can't understand. You can't understand. And one thing that you must know is that you may think that HIV is such a terrible disease. You may think that Ebola is such a terrible disease. You may think that coronavirus is such a terrible disease. But the good news, the bad news, excuse me for that, the bad news that you must anticipate, things that you must anticipate that are likely to happen, are more terrible diseases that are going to be more disastrous than Ebola. We expect to see more terrible diseases that are going to intimidate people than coronavirus. We expect more terrible diseases that are going to humiliate human beings than HIV and AIDS. Why? It is because the appetite of people increases on daily basis. People now eat almost everything provided it can be chewed using their teeth. They eat. It's unbelievable that people eat now snakes. You only believe that it's Chinese people who eat snakes. It's now common among Africans. Chinese people eat almost everything. No wonder, maybe that's the reason why coronavirus developed in China. Is because of eating. Those people eat almost everything. They eat almost everything. Almost everything. It's not only about snakes. People eat, now I hear they are now on lizards. They eat lizards. They eat frogs. They eat butterflies. You can't believe that other people eat cockroaches. Appetite, eating. It is in the United States of America where I read a certain news some time back where they said a human flesh is on the menu. You can go in a restaurant and command for a human flesh to be brought on the table so that you may eat. They can serve human flesh on your table. You can go in a restaurant and buy human flesh for food in the United States of America, in Texas. I know some of you heard that. You can go and Google and confirm this. People nowadays eat human beings. It is legalized in the USA. I don't know which part is actually the most delicious, the part that they enjoy on a human body. I don't know if they enjoy the human head. I don't know if they enjoy the human offals. I don't know if they enjoy the buttocks. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is that people are on human beings now, making human beings food for themselves. People eat human beings. How stupid and foolish are we, human beings? Just as I've already said, we're the most foolishest creatures on earth. Our foolishness goes beyond than that of animals, because animals cannot eat fellow animals. A lion, no matter how hungry it may be, it can't go for another lion for food. It's impossible. A tiger, no matter how hungry it may be, it can't go for another tiger for food. It's impossible. But as human beings, we can eat our fellow human beings. We can eat our fellow human beings. I now understand why even God himself was confused and said, a human heart, is it in the book of Jeremiah? A human heart is such a very terrible organ. It's difficult to understand it. It has got a disease which is incurable. You see, this is God himself speaking these words on human beings. It's true. Human beings eat fellow human beings. Human beings, for example, even animals cannot do sex with the same sex. For example, a male goat going for another male goat. No. Animals do not behave like that. They're able to differentiate a female from male. But as human beings, we can't differentiate. It is very common nowadays, men to marry men, women to marry women. Surprisingly, it is called civilization. If you can't do this, then you are not civilized. So expect, this is just a warning. You may not like it, you may hate it about it, but I don't care. But this is the truth. Expect more terrible diseases that are going to be more terrible than coronavirus, more terrible than Ebola, more terrible than HIV, more terrible than cancers, because of eating, chewing. Eating is deadly. Eating kills. Stop being like pigs, which eats almost everything that it meets on the way. Be like human beings. Don't eat anything, anyhow, anywhere. I encourage you to eat somehow, something, somewhere. Not anyhow, anything, anywhere. Be responsible of what you put in your mouth. Control your appetite. Can you discipline your appetite? Don't eat anything, please. There are certain things that must be eaten, and there are certain things that must be used by hands. May God bless you as you contemplate on disciplining your appetite and regulating your appetite. Thank you very much. You can meet me or if you are meeting me on Facebook, then we can keep on interacting. But if you are meeting me on YouTube, then please remember to subscribe. Yes, have a good day. May God bless you in abundance.